It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
A fine Saturday morning to you, gents.
Lean in. Lean in.
That's right.
Why
not?
Andy, Steve, it is indeed. It is a fine, good day to you both.
Thus far, it has been grand.
It's early. It's a little bit early today. Sorry for folks in the live stream that we are starting early. It's because of Andy.
It's because it's all my fault, as most things are.
We before we dig into the other goodies, we have just a little bit of news about this show, Saturday Matinee.
Ooh,
there's a really.
News is exciting, Pete.
You became a cereal mascot for a second there. Somebody introduced marshmallows.
Ooh, I like those too.
Right. We've been talking about how we do the show, how the show is done, and one of the things that has come out of that is that we are going to start dropping the Saturday Matinee in the main feed. So, like the rest of our podcasts here at the Next Reel, the patrons will get early access to this show. That will be Saturday Matinee hour, I guess, depending on how easy it is for me to edit it. And then it will go live on Mondays for the rest of the general public in the main feed of the Next Reel. So it'll show up in iTunes. It'll show up everywhere. So that is the new thing, Saturday Matinee. If you've never heard this show and you are hearing it on this fine Monday morning, then that is why. So we welcome you to the Saturday Matinee. If it is a show where we talk about news of the week, we do our trailer picks that then become fodder, grist for the mill for Trailer Rewind for Steve and JJ. We go through our list of movies that are somewhat very loosely related to the film that Andy and I are talking about that week.
Did you mention some flick chart re-ranking?
And flick chart re-ranking. Yeah. Yes, we also do that. Where we have, we need to name that segment.
Flick chart re-ranking. How about that?
Flick chart re-ranking, I think, is a pretty good.
Is it early that makes you guys like the most anodyne participants in this conversation that I've ever? That is hold on. So right. boring.
Okay, how about
somebody workshop that, please?
Re-ranking flick chart.
Tell Andy and Steve.
But there's an E on the end of flick chart.
Just made the list. The re-ranking of flick chart. Ye old flick chart re-ranking. All right. So we do that as well for a couple of movies to see how things have changed over the last many years that we've been doing the show, and get a little bit of movement on the flick chart for the main show. So that's what's going on. Welcome to the Saturday Matinee. If you are new, if you are old, welcome back. Also, if you are new, the shows have been released publicly on Patreon. They just won't hit the public feed until Monday. So if you want to go browse some of the back catalog, we encourage you to do so. And while you're there, what a great opportunity it would be to support the show with your ducats or doubloons. What do they use? What do leprechauns use? Guilders. There is a pot of gold. You could throw gold, literally gold at gold. You. We'll take it, and you could.
We'll even take a gold brick if you've got one of those.
We'll take a gold brick. You know what? We'll find a way to give you the show before we've recorded it. If you throw us a gold brick, so that's it. That's the news about the show of the morning. Enough navel gazing. Let us begin the show proper. What would you like to talk about, gentlemen?
Can I talk about arrows?
Ooh, that was crazy.
Is it not the craziest thing you've ever seen?
I don't know if it's crazier or the people standing in front of him.
Right?
Yes. Well, this is what happens when I try to find the movies for our list. And I'm looking for, flying arrow shots, and I come across, what's his name? Lars Anderson, who has rediscovered the ancient craft of archery the way that it was done, not the Hollywood version, which is you run around with arrows in your hand and just shoot them all one after another. And apparently he can bend them around corners. It's the most insane thing I've ever seen. And I thought, that heightened my expectations for Robin Hood. And then I saw that he had trained Taron Egerton for now. I really want to see the new Robin Hood movie because I just wrote that off as crazy CG stuff. And now I think, well, now I'm going to see somebody running around shooting arrows really fast. That's better than, good old Kevin Costner sort of standing there and just, I'll shoot one.
We'll put a GoPro on one arrow.
I would like to say that going and visiting the Taron Egerton version is going to be worth it for you to see what Lars brought to the table as far as training young Taron. I don't recall any of that in the movie, and if so, I'm sure it was still CG'd in because I don't think Taron probably ever got as good as Lars is.
I don't know. Did you see the behind the scenes stuff of Taron doing it
on camera though?
In the warehouse,
in the film?
Yeah. Well, it was in the behind the scenes of his training.
Well, I'm just saying the film. I doubt that they ever. I'm skeptical.
You're bringing the curmudgeon this morning. I get it. I hear it.
Curmudgeon O'Nelson. That's who he is.
Get off me lawn.
I have certainly more respect for Taron Egerton and his role because unlike Andy, I do believe that we saw some on-screen arrow.
Did he curve one though?
I don't know, but I do know that the shots where he is doing it without looking, he's shooting it behind him, and
that was cool. I liked that moment.
That was that. All right,
See?
So I'm going to call that a little tiny win.
Sure.
Andy, you and I are on the same page about this movie overall. Please,
we are very much on the same page with that movie.
But come on, he's Andy O'Quibbles. He's got quibbles with things.
Yeah. So
yeah. You're forcing me to lean into it even more. Oh man.
I feel better about Egerton. I've always liked Egerton, and this movie, I think it hasn't gotten a whole lot better knowing this information, but Egerton has. So we'll leave it at that. It's a very cool video, and so we'll put it in the show notes. You must see it.
Yeah, just watching Lars at work is stunning to see what he's doing with arrows. I like the end of the one where he shoots it so it goes sideways to put out the two candles. It's like,
yes.
My God.
Come on.
That is just nuts. Nuts.
Does it make you, this is the question I have for you both. Does it make you rethink how you do other things? Because this guy, the way he does it, right? He doesn't have the quiver. And that was one of my most favorite moments is watching him run through the woods, trying to draw an arrow out of the quiver at his back as all the arrows fall out, get caught in a tree. Of course that would happen. Of course it would. It was perfect. And so instead, the ancient way, he holds them in his draw hand so that when he pulls it back, he can very quickly reload and all of that. So it's great. Does it make you rethink the equivalent of holding the arrows in your draw hand, other activities that you take on every day in your lives?
Well, clearly I should be carrying around two laptops, just the same. So that I'm always ready to flip them both open.
I always have a spreadsheet under one hand for entering numbers, for producing.
Always at the ready.
Yes. I mean,
Steve?
It makes me think maybe I've been walking wrong because, I mean, you just assume that's like the most natural thing is, you have an arrow, you pull it out, you shoot. And he's like, no, you go back to these ancient texts and they even show some artwork where this is how people did things. I thought, well, I don't know. Have we been walking wrong? Because sometimes my feet hurt. Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
I think in some of those hieroglyphics, their knees bend the other way. I can't tell if that's because we've been walking wrong. We forgot the ancient way to, yeah.
Yes.
Do we have any movie news that we would like to talk about?
I've got old movie news. I discovered something and I thought, how did I miss this? I don't know how I missed this because it's like 3 or 4 years old.
Wow.
Movie news. I had never heard about this craziness called Birdemic.
Really?
What?
You missed that whole thing?
I missed that whole thing. So I don't know how I missed it because I'm like, well, I've been paying attention to what's going on in movies. How did I miss this horrible movie called Birdemic? And I stumbled across the trailer and then I watched, there was a whole article on Vice about the guys that helped him get that movie sort of distributed and what that did to his career. I am kind of curious to see it, but I just was surprised it never came up anywhere in any of the conversations or articles that I had read. So I'm feeling like sort of the maybe I was in a different universe where Birdemic didn't exist, and suddenly this week I woke up in the Birdemic universe.
I don't know if you should count yourself lucky or unlucky.
I'm with Andy. I do want to ask you guys what you think about the early thoughts on Joker and Joaquin Phoenix apparently astounding performance as Joker. It's already, of course, controversial.
What makes it controversial? The performance, the film?
The performance is apparently fantastic. The controversy is around, I mean, they're calling it the Neo taxi driver knockout. That's how Variety is classifying it. You know how I felt about Taxi Driver. It is a movie that supposedly expresses what's happening in the real world. It talks a lot about mass violence and the havoc that one person can wreak with at the hands of easy to access weapons and all of that kind of stuff. Apparently also hand in hand with mental illness. And some of the early reviews are saying, hey, this is a fantastic film. And also maybe it's not the film we need right now, culturally. Like, this is a movie that's that is out of its time.
It sounds like it's right in its time to me, because it seems like this is the conversation that this country needs to have. I mean, back in the Dark Knight, it was all about, surveillance. And that was the whole Snowden era of like who's listening and what can happen when you have control of that information. And I think it sparked some interesting discussions. And I think, Joker's tackling issues that are very much at the forefront of what's on the news every day. So I don't think it's inappropriate. I think it's artists bringing stories forward to provoke conversations and debate.
My question with it, and I guess we won't know until we see it, is it going to be something that people have fewer conversations and debates about, and it spurs people on to imitate? Like, that's something that I'm really curious about.
I think that's the you guys just laid out the central conflict. I mean, I'm all about the how movies hold up a mirror for our cultural reflection, right? This is what we need to see. We also have right now we have an element of society that has a rather simpler relationship with movies, and that imitation thing is a risk. Mm-hmm. It's horrifying, right? It's I think we live in a state of greater fear of those kinds of things, that movies as incitement for imitative violence.
Yeah.
I think this is interesting. They one of these things, in the spirit of one of these things, is not like the other, right? They say that it's like Taxi Driver and the King of Comedy, and there are elements lifted from Death Wish, Network, V for Vendetta, The Shining, and The Purge, and The Empire Strikes Back. What element do you think is lifted from The Empire Strikes Back? The Joker sleeps in the belly of a tauntaun. It's so weird.
No, he's going to freeze people in carbonite for later.
Yes, that's the one.
That is what he's going to do.
All of his goons have to go through the carbonite freezing process.
Yeah, that's funny. Here's a just a side note about this conversation. I don't know if either of you have read Glenn Kenny's review over at RogerEbert.com, but I just want to read this passage of it because this to me kind of is an example of perhaps how film criticism should not be written. Let me know what you guys think. Now, granted, I don't think Todd Phillips is that great of a filmmaker. I really love The Hangover. I think that's an anomaly for him. I think pretty much everything else he's done has not been that great as far as what he's directed. But this is what Glenn Kenny had to say. Do you think, let's see, darkness no longer has much to do with feelings of alienation the filmmaker wants to express or purge, as was the case with a film like Taxi Driver. It's not about exploring uncomfortable ideas, as was done in The King of Comedy. Do you think Todd Phillips, who co-wrote and directed Joker and references those movies so often you might expect that Martin Scorsese was enlisted as an executive producer here as a way of heading off a plagiarism lawsuit, really cares about income equality, celebrity worship, and the lack of civility in contemporary society? I don't know him personally, but I bet he doesn't give a toss. He's got the pile he made on those hangover movies, which some believe have indeed contributed to the lack of civility in etc., and can not only buy up all the water that's going to be denied us regular slobs after the big one hits, he can afford the bunker for after the bigger one hits.
Wow.
It's like, are we judging this film now just based on our opinion of how much money Todd Phillips has and the fact that, he, is out of touch? Like, it's like, what is he thinking here? This is such a strange part of a review to include about a film.
It is a very strange. I mean, it just reads very much like he's working out some of his own issues.
Yeah. And it just makes me feel like, should we even take this guy seriously as a film critic?
Yeah. That's troublesome. I am more of a fan of Todd Phillips than you are. It sounds like I'm right with you on The Hangover, but I am also very excited to see what happens when filmmakers cross, genre and story opportunity. And
yeah,
I think this movie looks very exciting to me. I mean, it's a movie that I feel like is, the early press is such that it has me super intrigued. The Ebert review notwithstanding, I'm really looking forward to this, and that feels like not a perspective that is even relevant or resonant to the film.
With criticism of art, I always expect you need to account for the creator of the art in your commentary, but when your focus is solely on the person rather than what they're creating, I mean, you've gone astray of, I think, what the purpose of criticism is. And, Todd Phillips, I mean, maybe he's trying to follow an Adam McKay's path of, I did these ridiculous comedies, but now I've got something important to say and I've got the clout and money to do it now. Because I can say, with Adam McKay, his comedies, I mean, they're not classics and favorites in my book, but then he does The Big Short. And to me, that was a really powerful movie. Todd Phillips, sounds like he's, following the same path. To try to make assumptions on what his intent is, unless you've sat down and talked with him or he said something about he has no interest in these things, that's an assumption that I think a critic shouldn't be making. You can't assume intent on what an artist is saying unless they've come right out and said it. So I think he's failing in his criticism in several areas.
It just the sarcasm that it's just dripping with is tough for me to swallow in a critique like this.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
I like to have we like to have fun talking about movies, but this is for a movie that hasn't been released publicly yet to ooze that kind of sentiment toward it. This is a movie that's going to really be all about the cleansing nature of violence, and that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of folks. Is it well timed? Is it a beautiful work of art on screen? We'll see very soon. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Well, I will say, at least we can say that Todd Phillips is following it up with the equally as important and relevant to society film, the untitled Hulk Hogan biopic. So we have that also.
Who's dripping with sarcasm now? Who is that?
I was going to say, come on. Now who wrote it? Who wrote it? Because if it's
John Polano and Scott
why can't I remember
Silver.
Their name?
And Chris Hemsworth is in it.
Okay. Right.
I'm totally joking. I think that it could be a fun movie.
It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, it has to be better than The Hangover Part 3.
Well, I was going to say, is this untitled Hulk Hogan biopic going to be focusing on WrestleMania, or is it going to be focused on the whole, sex tape controversy? Because you've got two very different approaches to this man's life that you can
Can you take one without the other, Steve? Really? Hulk Hogan is a complex tapestry, a potpourri of media management. I think they go hand in hand. I'm excited. Shall we do trailers?
Let's do them. I think Steve.
We're not going to do what are we going to call it? Flick chart re-ranking.
This is it. Yeah, of course. Do we do it first? Is that what?
Re-rank-o-rama.
Re-rank-o-rama. The old re-rank-o-rama
there it is.
Of the Flick Charty.
All right, let's do that. So we're going to do some Flick Chart re-rankings. We'll do 10, and we'll start first with Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, or Moon.
Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, or Moon. It's Moon.
It's definitely Moon. All right, next up, we have My Cousin Vinny or Kingdom of Heaven. What? Ugh. It's doing that
We never
thing.
did
I waited
those
too
movies.
long.
Either of them.
Right?
I was like, that's an easy one for me, but I don't remember you talking about those.
It's Kingdom of Heaven.
Oh wait,
but
there was that. You did that
Yeah,
Marissa
right,
Tomei
right.
series, didn't you?
All
I
right,
forgot about
stop it,
that.
Flick Chart. Stop it. All right, here we go.
It's like you mock me with your
That's
old timey talk.
All right, next up we have Meek's Cutoff or The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest.
Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest.
Definitely Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. Sorry, Steve. By the way,
That's
for these
all right.
re-rankings, Steve is here to try to sway us one way or the other if we are conflicted. That's
If you're wrong,
That's if he's actually
you're
seen
wrong,
either of
I will
them.
correct you. Yes. Now, what was it? The girl
The
that
Hornet's
kicked
Nest.
which version was that?
There's
The
only
Hornets. Oh, okay. All right. That's right. There's only the one.
there,
There
right.
can be only
Next
one.
up, Miller's Crossing or Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. I'll take Miller's Crossing.
Miller's Crossing.
All right, number 4, The French Lieutenant's Woman or Red Belt.
Red Belt.
French Lieutenant's
Red
Woman.
Mm-mm.
Oh, wow. You guys are split. And if I saw The French Lieutenant's Woman, it was back in the late 80s. You know, I don't remember it that well enough to sway you
Really
one way or
What I'm
the
hearing
other.
you say is, I saw The French Lieutenant Woman, and it's not memorable.
And I
so we should go
Exactly.
with Red Belt.
Well, I remember seeing Red Belt. And I remember a few scenes. It's slightly more memorable because it's more recent in my memory. I didn't. It's a mammoth. Come on, it's a mammoth. What are you gonna do?
It's not a great
I
mammoth.
will agree with Andy though. It's not the
Yeah,
greatest.
I'll
mammoth.
stick with the French Lieutenant.
I can't hear you.
but then you've got the Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep,
You
Jeremy
can't
Irons.
go against the Streep, Pete.
It's a really
Yeah.
interesting film. I think that
Yeah.
it's worth checking out, and it's one I'd happily rewatch first.
Also, Red Belt.
I will put it on my list.
All right, we're gonna have to do it.
You're gonna have to do it.
Do
Oh, no.
what?
We're gonna have to Rochambeau.
You gotta paper scissors
But
the
I
rock.
thought Steve was
Yeah.
here to prevent us from having
Only-
to do it.
only if he's seen them and can
but
sway
I can't.
us.
If he's right, and I can't sway you, so it's ye
That,
old
was,
Rochambeau.
that wasn't commitment enough, you guys. All right.
What? Unless you're willing to go. Andy's firmly
I'm
stuck
not-
with
I'm not given.
his old timey Streep.
I'm ready.
All right,
I'm ready.
1.
Oh, we get to see it.
Sorry,
Here,
I gotta
gotta
video.
change the
There we go.
display.
There we
Oh,
go.
it's he's
Uh-huh.
going. Oh, split screen.
Ready?
Okay, 1,
1,
2, 3.
3.
Oh, skunked me.
That'd be paper.
Oh, I couldn't see it.
For the listeners
I couldn't
at home.
see it. I couldn't see it. All right, Red Belt. All right, number 5. We've got Children of the Corn or The Bad Seed. Oh, Bad Seed.
Bad Seed, yeah. That was a disappointing rewatch. Oh,
Bad Seed held steady. I forgot to say if anything's changed or not. Oops. All right, next up, In the Mood for Love or La Femme Nikita. I'll take In the Mood for Love, please.
I will too.
Wow, I didn't think that you would do that. That held steady. A League of Their Own or The Spanish Apartment.
A League of Their Own.
Yeah, I'll take A League of Their Own. That went from 236 to 136. A 100
wow.
film jump. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang or Pale Rider. Definitely Kiss Kiss Bang Bang for me.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, yeah.
That held steady at 37. Brazil or Blowout. Definitely Brazil for me.
Brazil.
Held steady at 31. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan or Chinese Puzzle. Star Trek II.
Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That held steady at 50. Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. I don't know where my reading skills have gone. Or Network.
Oh, really?
It's
It's Network,
It's
but
Network.
really?
I know, it's a tough one. Network held steady at number 2. And last one, Star Trek Generations. So much Star Trek. Or Ocean's
Wow.
11, the 1960 version. Jeez.
Where do you even,
I'll take
how does one even
Generations.
begin?
Definitely would watch that again over the...
Your enthusiasm for watching that again is intrigues me. I would, if that were it, on a
It's enthusiasm because it's just as far as what it's compared to. I really didn't like that Ocean's 11.
no, I didn't either.
All right, well, that
I'll also go.
also
with
held steady at 401. So there you go. There's our re-rankings for the day.
So we had our biggest jump, as far as we know, as far as we were paying attention, is that 100 film jump for
For League of
In the
Their
Mood for
Own,
Love,
yep.
is that it? Or League of Their Own.
Yep.
All right.
That's-
There's no crying in Flick Chart.
There's no crying in Flick Chart. That's right.
All right, let's do trailers.
Let's do it.
I believe Steve comes with the A24. A24 has a very special place on the Saturday matinee. It makes everybody first.
That's right.
We have the red band rule and the A24 rule.
That's right.
Right. Is it red band supersedes A24? Did we? I don't know if we have.
I believe
hierarchy established, do we?
A24 supersedes red band.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And that, but the red band A24.
Tops all, yeah.
Yes, that's
all.
Trump.
It's like
That
the
is
Royal
the Trump
Flush
trailer.
Right. Okay. Okay. So the reason to pick an A24 is so that then you get to do your list first. You don't have to worry as much about steals. So there's the motive behind these things, because do I really want to see this movie? Actually, yes, I really do want to see this movie. This is called Waves from writer-director Trey Edward Schultz, whose work I have not seen because his prior film was an odd little horror thriller called It Comes at Night with Joel
Great
Edgerton,
movie.
which I'm intrigued to see, but again, horror is not the main turf I tread in, so it's one that I will get around to.
You would be fine with it. It's not straight up horror. It's a lot more psychological.
Okay.
And, really, really interesting take on horror films.
Okay. So I was surprised to see his next film is sort of a family drama romance about two young couples navigating through the emotional minefield of growing up and falling in love with a stellar cast. We've got Clifton Collins Jr., Sterling K. Brown, Kelvin Harrison Jr. This is a film that is one of these that based on its release date of November 1st, we're clearly trying to get into that Oscar territory, and it has that feel of a powerful story about family and drama and the challenges of parenting, all these things that I'm familiar with because of being a parent and kids and such. So typically I like the genre of films more, but there's something about this one, the way it's shot, just some beautiful images in here that are drawing me in and thinking this is going to be less, I don't want to say less straightforward, but just a more artfully crafted film. So that's what I'm hoping for out of this one. Waves from Trey Edward Schultz. What did you guys take away from this one?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It had a tone and a feel to it that just really I just really liked it. Had a little bit of, kind of the If Beale Street Could Talk sort of feel, or Moonlight. There's a tone to kind of the pacing of the trailer and everything that just really struck a chord with me, and I immediately just wanted to check it out. So I'm very curious about this one. And as I said, I mean, I found It Comes at Night to be a really interesting horror film that totally worked for me. So it made this one even more of something that I'm wanting to check out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one too. I struggled with the trailer because it doesn't give you a whole lot, and I kept expecting like some big twist. Like there's got to be. I mean, this is a story of some incredible people, and clearly there's got to be more going on here. Is this really just an emotional story of people learning to live their lives together? Like there's no bank robbery, nobody goes to jail, like there's nothing.
Well,
like as far as we know,
Pete, it's called Waves, so maybe the geostorm is coming to wipe them out somewhere in the second act.
This is an environmental movie. I just couldn't pigeonhole like what is the movie, and I feel like I went into it like looking for that. What this is a movie, it's going to have a position, right? It can't just be humans telling a story. So once I got over that hump, I realized, I think I'd really like to see this movie. This is just a movie about people living their lives. What, like, dare to dream that we can actually have a movie like that with a cast like this. This is just fantastic.
Yes.
So, no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm such a big Sterling K. Brown fan that I'm just about anything. So,
and Steve, you should be more curious about Schultz's films, but I don't know if this says anything, but in his early career, he served as film loader, post-production intern, and intern on 3 of Terrence Malick's films.
I was wondering about that because there were some shots I thought, this looks like it's got a little Terrence Malick feel to the way he's shooting some of these things. So I didn't want to presume, and if I throw out Terrence Malick, Andy's going to roll his eyes half the time. half the time. So no, that is okay. That makes me feel a little more interested and intrigued by how he's putting this together. Thank you.
When does it come out?
Okay.
November 1st, because November is the new December, making October the new November.
According to Costco, September is the new December because you can already buy your Christmas decorations.
Oh my gosh.
All right, Andy,
Wow.
you're next.
All right. For my trailer, I picked one that I saw earlier in the week, but I don't know. I watched it and it struck me as something that looked really interesting. And I think, I don't know, I think a lot of it is the tone of the film, but also like, I'm instantly intrigued anytime I see something with Michael B. Jordan in it these days, because I find him to be just a really compelling actor. But then I see, Jamie Foxx is in it, and it looks like, a really strong performance from him again. I feel like after he won his Oscar, he kind of started, going back into films like Stealth and stuff that just wasn't as good and worthy of the skill that he could bring to screen. And then Robin Hood, let's not forget that one. And Brie Larson is in it. I'm like, okay, this is looking really interesting. And then I see that it's directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who did Short Term 12, which I just fell in love with the moment I watched that film. And so kind of the pieces fell into place for me as I watched this. This is the story of world-renowned civil rights defense attorney Brian Stevenson as he recounts his experiences and details the case of a condemned death row prisoner whom he fought to free. Jamie Foxx is the death row prisoner. Michael B. Jordan plays Brian Stevenson. And just it's a courtroom drama. It's one of these, trying to fight for the right and trying to help an innocent man get off death row. Rafe Spall is in it as well. Tim Blake Nelson. Just got a great cast. And I just feel like the film looks really compelling. Everything about it just works for me. It's one of these, it looks to be one of these kind of courtroom dramas that is just going to hit right for me. So I was pretty excited to see this trailer. What'd you guys think?
Yeah, I'm right there with you on this one. I don't know about the January 10th release date. That was one thing that I thought, I don't know if this doesn't feel like a film that gets dumped. In January.
It has a Christmas release date. It's going to be a limited Christmas release date before it opens wider in January.
Opens wide. There we go. Because Short Term 12 has been on my Netflix queue forever. Make time. One that. Yeah, so patient zero on that one for Andy. Hopefully, if I can get around to fitting that in somewhere. But yeah, this is one of those just straight up dramas that looks like a really compelling story and with a great cast to it. So this is one that if I can't find my way out to the theater, I really look forward to JJ and I talking about films like this.
I sit here asking myself why would I expect there to be some sort of activist angle in Steve's pick, Waves? What could possibly be the reason that I expect? Oh, right. It's because I had just watched Just Mercy right before I watched Waves. And that's where it came from. I'm with you guys. I'm a big fan of Michael B. Jordan. I think it's great. And and Brie Larson, I think she's. I think it's great not to see her in Captain Marvel now, and she just has so much. She just has a lot to offer, and I think it's exciting to see, how she manages her career outside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That will be an interesting thing. Destin Daniel Cretton. I also have not seen Short Term 12, and so I need to add that to the list, the patients.
Maybe we should put it on a series somewhere because it's worth talking about.
All right, fine. I haven't seen. It turns out I haven't seen anything else that he's done, but looks like this is going to be the start. So,
well, in the Marvel circles, he will be directing Shang-Chi.
So I know I'll see something.
That's right. Well, I'd like to think before that comes out, you will have seen this and Short Term 12.
So it's going on the watch list, but this looks like a good one. I worry a little bit. I just a little bit. Given the cast, given the subject matter, I worry a little bit that it's that we're going to start hearing the cries of Oscar bait. When does it come out? Does that give us any clue?
It's a Christmas release date.
Oh, all right. Is it Christmas in LA and New York, Andy?
Probably, because it looks like it's Christmas limited and then wider in January.
All right. Well,
all right. You're up.
We'll do what we can. Okay, so I am talking about. I wasn't going to bring this movie. Honestly, I was going to bring bait for you guys. Between Two Ferns. That's what I was going to bring. Thought it would be a funny opportunity to talk. And then I went to see It Chapter 2, and this trailer dropped for Black Christmas, 2019 remake of the film that Andy and I did on the show, the 1974. Is that right? 1974 original Black Christmas, which was innovative in its own very special ways, mostly around first-person POV, which is also interesting given our conversation of our lists today. This one is remade by director Sophia Takal, written by Takal and April Wolf. A group of students are stalked by a stranger during their Christmas break. It also stars Carrie Elwes and Imogen Poots and Brittany O'Grady and Elise Shannon and Lily Donahue. So we have the group of girls that are stalked, and the way the original film, they're all in a sorority house. And the perpetrator comes in and takes hold in the attic. And every time he goes out stalking and on his murder spree, it switches to first person. You see him climbing the ladders, and it's all very, very clever. And here, the trailer is kind of hard to pick out. Like, are they going to do what sort of homage are they playing to the original? Like what the original did well. I wasn't able to get a real sense for if they were leaning in on the first person stuff. It seems like they're introducing a whole angle of the supernatural. The trailer,
or the cult.
Yeah, the cult. Right.
Yeah,
the trailer establishes a lot. I felt like the movie must really have deep pockets in terms of the secrets, because they revealed some stuff in the trailer that I felt like might be central to the third act.
Right.
and so I hope they're playing wicked tricksy with me, because otherwise I feel like I already pretty much get it. What'd you guys think?
Yeah, I was. I'm intrigued by what they're going to do, because I did find Black Christmas, the original Bob Clark film, to be kind of an interesting, entertaining horror movie. And the way that some of the elements played in that film, I thought was pretty fun. I am a little surprised by some of the changes that they're making to this. I think, okay, it's Blumhouse. They're taking some big directional shifts, which could work. It might make for a more interesting take on the story. But like you said, it also feels like they're revealing an awful lot in this trailer. And so I'm hoping, like you, that they still have a lot of cards up their sleeve that they're hiding from us, because otherwise I'll be disappointed if I watch it and I go, okay, well, I kind of figured all that out from the trailer.
I watched this and thought, well, maybe I should just go watch Happy Death Day again. Because unless it's going to do something new to this genre, which is, we've got a bunch of girls and there's the relentless, killer, chasing after them. What are they doing that's fresh to this? And maybe it is that bringing in the cult piece, but again, that's sort of a tired, cliche trope as well. So I don't know. I'm hoping they bring something fresh to it, because a couple weeks ago I saw Ready or Not, which I had a great time with, because it played around a lot and didn't take itself too seriously. And my fear from this trailer is it's just playing it straight and taking itself as, a typical 70s, 80s, sort of slasher genre, which to me, that genre I think is played out unless you're bringing something fresh to it. And I hope they are. And that's the cards they're hiding on this one. They're trying to bring people in with, well, this is, a classic slasher film and come and enjoy it. It's a remake of, a classic. And I'm very hopeful that they pull a magic trick and twist this one around. But
I'm curious, because it's written by two women and it's directed by one of those two women. And so that, I think, intrigues me the most about it. Like, are they going to take an interesting twist on this, from the I don't want to say feminist, but, it seems to be a bad word in some circles, although I don't think it should be. But the whole idea of looking at this type of horror thriller where all these women are being stalked in a sorority and doing it more from a female perspective, that really intrigues me. And I think there could be something wholly unique about doing that. As I watch this trailer, I'm like, I don't feel like they're leaning in on that. So I guess we'll see.
Here's what Universal Pictures says in their pitch for the film. Hawthorne College is quieting down for the holidays. One by one, sorority girls on campus are being killed by an unknown stalker. But the killer is about to discover that this generation's young women aren't willing to become hapless victims as they mount a fight to the finish.
So it's more about the women taking a stand now.
Yeah. I'm not sure that is giving us enough new to really entice me to be thrilled about this movie. I'm definitely going to see it. I mean, I'm going to see it because I feel like we invested in the Black Christmas cinematic universe, and now I want to see what happens next. But I feel like I get it. I get what they're doing, and I want to be surprised, and I'm hoping I'll be surprised. Otherwise, I look forward to Steve and JJ covering this one down the road.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm sure this will be.
I think, Andy, thinking about, and what you're saying, given recent news where we had, and I'm horrible at because I don't have my news tabs open, Jane Doe from that trial that's coming forward now to tell her story of women sort of saying, we're not going to be these silent victims anymore, and we're going to tell our own stories. Maybe that is the approach that they're taking with this of we're going to shift things and take this from women being the victims and turning this around. So I'm okay. Maybe this will be something different. So
they nailed the release window. The thing they're dropping it to coincide with Friday the 13th in December. Black Christmas releases December 13th.
Love it.
In the U.S. and Sweden and Norway and Indonesia and UK and Australia. It opens across Europe on the 11th and 12th. But really, Friday the 13th.
Nice.
That's when you're going to see Black Christmas.
Awesome.
There you go. How do we do on those lists?
Oh, list time. So for this week's list, we're talking about Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, everybody's favorite Kevin Costner vehicle. And the list options that we put out to our folks on Discord are characters say the name of the movie as a line in the movie, flying cameras, the arrow POV, or the feminist fall from grace. And everybody voted, and the choice was flying cameras, the arrow POV.
I would just like to say, for the record, I think we missed a giant opportunity with this week's list. People, what are we doing?
Yes.
If anything, characters who say the name of the movie in the movie was a real no.
I wish that we had Roy Scheider saying, "Look at the jaws on that shark." That's what we need to do a list of movies that should have had the line of the movie in the movie. Look, he's an ET. There's an extraterrestrial.
There's Jupiter. Ascending.
There's a Twitter account that does that. They take screenshots and they'll put in, the text of characters saying the name of the movie. Like, I can't remember what the Twitter account is, but it's
like actual ones.
Well, they're fabricating them for comic effect. Like it'll be like Luke, showdown with Vader saying, the Empire strikes back this time. Things like that. It's ridiculous.
The Empire strikes back this time.
Something, but Andy's spot on. They'll be like, look, it's an ET. Yes.
That's brilliant.
We'll have to find that, put it in the show notes somewhere.
Yeah, so good.
It's all the opportunities that were missed, both true and fictional. Yes.
Steve, the floor is yours for your first pick.
Yeah, when you look at this, I realize people don't understand what POV is. It's just like, you put a camera in a different place. Oh, well, it's a POV shot. No, point of view. Whose point of view is it? Is it a person's point of view? Is it an object's point of view? Which is what we were going with the flying arrow. The camera's actually mounted, so you're seeing it as if you were the arrow. But people, I'm looking and they're like, oh yeah, these flying drone shots, that's a POV. I'm like, of what, a schizophrenic bird? What is this? Just because you put a camera someplace. And JJ and I talk about this and he may have brought it up on Film Board too a couple times, where you've got the camera that looks like it's from a person's point of view because it's sort of like handheld behind bushes, and you're like, oh, well, who is it? And it's not. It's just they're being
clever,
creative, putting the camera someplace. So I had to struggle to find, okay, what is the point of view that this is going with, because there's lots of shots of cameras flying around. Barry Sonnenfeld does that all the time, but is it an actual point of view of something? So I actually am going to start with the truest of the bunch to the Arrow POV, because I think this probably was intended to be a spoof on that shot. I'm talking about the chicken arrow in Hot Shots Part 2.
Already a steal. Are you kidding? That's a double steal?
Well, technically, I've talked about that one before, so I was like, I don't know if I should. So,
because you talked about Hot Shots,
yeah.
You didn't talk about.
I didn't talk about that,
right? Yes, because that was right. It was the whole like cameo thing with Martin Sheen, and yes, but I think that's why it was fresh in my mind. I thought there's an arrow shot. Yes, the iconic running out of arrows, picking up a chicken, shooting it, into someone's chest. But I had to check. I had to find the clip to make sure that it wasn't just we saw the chicken flying across, but we actually had front and reverse shots of that chicken arrow flying through the
brilliant. Straight up brilliant comedy. I had to check that too. And you know what? Sheen is jacked for that movie.
It was that's a really fun pair of films. I mean, I haven't seen it in ages, but you got the whole, standoff at the end with the president and Saddam in kind of like the little Darth Vader lightsaber fight.
Yes, great pick.
So silly. Absolute silliness. I can't believe
that's such a steal. That was a prime candidate for me too. I thought there's no way Steve's going to do it. He just talked about that movie. Well played. All right, Andy.
So I'm a little looser, I think, than Steve on his interpretation, because it's not really a POV. If it's a POV, you're not seeing any of the arrow.
Well, yes, I will agree with that. You don't know anatomically where the eyes are on an arrow.
It could be.
You're assuming the arrows are on the front. It could be in the middle of the body.
That it's actually a wee leprechaun, perhaps, sitting on the arrow, writing, and it's his POV.
Well, and to be fair, our source material, it is the leprechaun on top of the arrow, because we see, or the eyes of the arrow are kind of up
it's
by
like
the
Muppet
tail.
eyes. It's like little Muppet eyes that sit on top of it.
They're googly eyes, and the arrow head is the nose. And so we can't see the mouth underneath.
The lips, little lips flapping like a dog's, like with his tongue.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Well, for my first pick, it is not, it's not that type of POV. It is more eyes on the arrow tip. In this case, it's a bullet tip. And it is the wonderful... you say that as if it's a steal already, and I haven't even said the movie.
Do you want to say it at the same time? You want to say it at the same time?
No, because what if it's not? Okay, or you can, and then that's your first one. But it is Sam Raimi's The Quick and the Dead. Was that what you were going to say?
It was just totally a steal.
Nope. I love this movie. It possibly is I guess I can't say it's my favorite Sam Raimi movie, because Spider-Man 2 is probably up there. But I really just enjoy this movie. I think he's having a fun time with the Western genre. It's never quite a parody. It's never quite a spoof, but it feels like he's just taking a lot of the tropes and just having fun with it. The whole idea of this dueling tournament going on builds to this climactic final bit that has a moment that feels a little bit out of Once Upon a Time in the West, which I love, as Sharon Stone battles with Gene Hackman. And for the final kill, not to spoil the movie, but to spoil the movie, she ends up shooting him. And there are some typical like Sam Raimi crash zoom types of shots that are designed to feel like the bullet speeding right into Gene Hackman's head. It's a great little moment in a wonderful film. So that's my first pick, The Quick and the Dead.
That is a great pick.
God,
there's so many great lines in that movie. So many great duels.
Yeah.
Somebody get me a bullet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, love it.
Russell Crowe. I mean, just
Leonardo
right.
DiCaprio.
What a cast.
Yes. Oh,
How have we not
yes.
talked about that movie?
I don't know.
Show?
I don't know.
We need to do that and
I saw
Quigley
that in
Down
the
Under.
theater. Yeah. Oh my God. What?
Just checking.
Quickly Down Under. What do you? We're doing movies that start with Q for this list.
That's the other thing that we're putting into our lists here.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have another bullet related POV.
This is going to be a steal, I can tell.
This was actually the first one that I thought of because I remember being deeply moved by this opening sequence in a movie that I really liked a lot, which is weird. It is Lord of War. The entire opening credits sequence gives us the life of a bullet. And so you from the perspective, it sort of zooms in on the sheet metal, like the milling machine as it's stamping out pieces of the bullet. And shortly thereafter, the bullet is actually, you're kind of the eyeballs on the back of the bullet. And you're on a conveyor and you're being checked and you're picked up by fingers. And eventually you're shipped into a war zone and you get loaded into a bullet and then you're fired. And the final sequence is a bullet going through the head of a young man. And it is one of those horrifying ways to use this particular sequence and this POV to demonstrate and to set to demonstrate setting in a way that I thought was incredibly evocative and powerful, and set your sort of where you are emotionally for the duration of the film. I think it was really great. So Lord of War, opening credits. You don't even have to watch very far if you want to see this one. Just turn it on. And you'll get the whole thing.
So, okay, but then do we need to keep watching?
Well, I think so. I really enjoy this movie a lot.
Is this Nicolas Cage, John Cusack?
Nicolas Cage and Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke. Okay, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. Andrew Nichol, back when he was
it
making
steal?
films worth watching. Yes, total steal. That's such a brilliant sequence. I was like right there when I saw that this list was when you guys came up with this, I'm like, oh, that has to be included. And I know it will be a steal from someone.
Excellent. All right.
I'm going to keep going with the bullet theme because each time you guys mentioned this is a bullet thing, I thought they're going to steal this movie. They're going to steal this movie. And you guys haven't. And I wonder, perhaps you have not seen this movie. Oh. Because when I think of bullets, this is the first one that comes to mind. Let me give you some names. Michael Crichton, Gene Simmons, Tom Selleck.
Wow.
Not a steal.
1984, Runaway. In the near future, a police officer specializes in malfunctioning robots, and Gene Simmons is the villain who has a gun that fires bullets that actually chase people. They can go around corners, through tunnels, all these crazy things. So not only is it a bullet POV, but it's a crazy bullet POV. And I remember seeing this. I don't think it was in the theater. It was probably like just getting into video stores. In the 80s, video stores were just opening, and we're like, oh wow, look, it's Magnum PI in this cool action movie. Let's go check this out. And there's I think an opening scene where Gene Simmons kills somebody with one of his people tracing bullets.
That is such a great pick, and it's one of those that I don't think about often, but I watched this a lot when I was a kid. Because of Tom Selleck and that mustache and robots. Yeah,
and
the little spider robots.
Little bug robots that chase me. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
No, it was crazy. And I can't believe that this didn't come to me. I think it's the fact that it was written and directed by Michael Crichton is maybe why we have stopped talking about it.
Yes.
It was perfect for me,
of course,
at that age.
Yeah. Yes, and it was perfect for 1984.
Yeah. Right.
And it should stay.
Also, this is the one with the little robot spiders, and I saw that too. And it's a movie that I also watched a lot and totally loved as a kid. And I forgot that Gene Simmons was in it. I forgot that there was Crazy Bullets. So I almost want to go watch it again now and see exactly how the craziness holds up these days.
All right, so Andy.
All right.
So next up for me is a. I guess it's a little more just straight up traditional repeat of the Aerocam. And it's in a great film. There's not too much to say about it because it's just a great film in a great fight sequence with somebody that is very skilled with a bow and arrow. It is The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. It is when they are in the mines of Moria and they are being attacked by all the goblins that are running around all the walls of the whole cave. And of course, you have Legolas there, who does, in fact, fire an arrow shot at one of the goblins who's shooting from the walls, and you get the ride on top of the arrow with the wee leprechaun as he flies across the cavernous room and hits the bad guy square in the forehead. So that's my second one.
I didn't even think about that until you just said it, and now it's all I can think of. Like that, of course, that's a pick. That should have been a steal.
Of course, Peter Jackson's going to do that because he's got an archer shooting dozens of arrows in a film.
Right. Eventually, you just run out of stuff to do.
That's right.
Well, let's put a leprechaun on the arrow.
Give the leprechaun a GoPro. Put him on there.
You guys, I have this brilliant idea. Totally original. Okay, my next pick is I sort of can't believe you guys haven't said this, but then I realized who I'm talking to. It's a movie that actually I think it allows me to say, see, I can have fun with movies that other people don't enjoy. And that movie is Wanted. It is a movie about throwing bullets around corners. And
they stole that idea from Lars Anderson.
Exactly.
What can I say? You know, he can throw arrows around corners. They'll throw bullets around corners.
Right. This is Timur Bekmambetov, and it is Angelina Jolie and James McAvoy. And I'm on a James McAvoy thing because we just saw it, and so I was excited to try and find a connection there. Now, look, this movie with the throwing bullets, I have a lot of fun with it. I think it's they do some just crazy, fantastical stuff that's so over the top that I can invest in it. But there are two sequences in the movie where we have very, very, very long sniper type shots, so long in fact that the bullets have propellers on them and they break apart. They're like Predator bullets, and we actually see the bullet, it's like goes back in time. So the sequence starts with the bullet in the head and it backs out of the head, and you see then where the bullet came from, and it switches around perspectives. So there are times when you're actually the leprechaun riding the bullet, and then it zooms around the bullet and you see the perspective. But it's a very cool sequence, and I have a lot of fun with this movie that, you know, I think a lot of people like to make fun of. It's a 6.7 on IMDb. It easily crests this six-star rule. So, you know, is what it is. I enjoy it.
No, I enjoy that film, and I think you're treated like a guilty pleasure, and I don't think you need to, because it is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
no, I enjoy it, and actually, my youngest watched it, and she was, I should say, upset because Chris Pratt is the he's the jerk that's sleeping with our hero's girlfriend and all that, and she's like, wait, Star-Lord Chris Pratt, why is he being such a bad guy? I'm like, but he looks like it's like baby Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
And he's the one that the shot that stuck with me the most when I first saw this was the getting smashed in the face with the keyboard.
Yeah.
And the teeth flying out.
Yeah,
there's so many great visuals on this one. I counted on this one of you guys picking this one, so that's why it wasn't on my list. I thought that'll be a steal if I put it on my list.
All right.
So,
well, then you have assuaged my guilt. I feel less guilty about enjoying my time with this movie. The thing,
never feel guilty for loving a movie, Pete. Never feel guilty.
Just the thing that makes me cringe with this movie is the poster. What they do with Angelina Jolie's arm in the poster is offensive to anatomy.
Yes.
Anyway. All right. Steve, you're next. This is the number one pick. Number one pick.
Oh, and mine is, I guess I'm just firmly rooted in the 80s with this, and it may be because just getting into appreciating movies, these are things that stood out to me because it was sort of like firsts for me of like, wow, this is really innovative. This is something different as I was sort of exploring movies. And they're sort of, I think we've mentioned, all right. I have to go with the one that I think is most technically fun, which is the original, very first Evil Dead flying force shot into Bruce Campbell. So again, it's a flying shot, but it is a POV because we are from the point of view of this whatever evil force that's out there in the woods. As it's flying through the trees and through the cabin into Bruce Willis, not Bruce Willis, Bruce Campbell. Wrong Bruce. That would be an interesting movie. Bruce Campbell, good old Bruce Campbell. So that's my number one. I think it's one of the earliest times I saw that, and it was one where I just thought, how did they do this? And they did it by taking a camera, mounting it to a 2x4, and giving two guys, just go run through the woods with this thing, and we're going to make this work. So that's my
plus
my
a leprechaun
pick.
I know there was a leprechaun.
Okay, so now are we going back and building the glossary? Because we had Jiggly Monkeys, and now we're going to have Leprechaun Cam. It's going to just be.
We need to update our
it's got to be
clearly.
Leprechaun riding the arrow.
Or a bullet.
It's got to be Leprechaun
Because
riding
I'm
bullet.
sure leprechauns do other things in filmmaking.
I'm sure they do.
Okay. All right.
The quantities of leprechauns in the film industry that never get talked about. It's like house elves. Nobody wants to
because they
acknowledge.
were not able to unionize. They don't get scale.
Right.
If Nick's listening, because he put together that fine artwork of Andy with the big old Irish hat, I think he needs to go in and put a leprechaun riding an arrow shooting across the background there for our SatNet artwork.
All right. So Evil Dead. That was what you said, right? The Evil Dead?
That is original Evil Dead from 1970 something.
Yeah,
81.
I knew that one would need to be on somebody's list, and I figured it would be yours.
All right, Andy.
For my final one, it's a slight cheat because it's not quite exactly what this is almost like a flying leprechaun following the arrow.
Wow, Irish Andy breaking his own rules.
Sometimes when it's a little when all of so many of my choices have been taken. So what are you going to do? This is a backup, but it's okay. It is the Avengers. And we have yet...
Good grief, Andy.
We have yet another archer, in this case Hawkeye, during the final battle. He eyeballs Loki flying on his little flying machine, and he shoots his arrow, and you get two great shots. One is like the leprechaun is directly in front of the arrow, watching it as it flies away from Hawkeye toward Loki. And then the follow-up shot it's almost just like, you're right behind the arrow off to the side, just kind of following it as it flies and goes right up to Loki, only to have Loki catch it midair, look at it, and then just kind of look back at Hawkeye and just give him a look. It's a great little moment. It speaks to Hawkeye's quality as an archer as well as Loki's cunning. So that's my final pick, The Avengers.
And a final steal.
Unbelievable. This is a list full.
Oh, wow.
It's a tricky one.
Yeah.
And there are other examples out there, but not as many good ones or ones that I have seen.
Well, there are a lot of these. I think it's funny that we end up picking our favorites that coincide in large part. I have a couple of other projectile versions of this. But I'm going to cheat horrifically because I've had 4 steals taken from me. and that is, it is a weapon. It is a point of view change, and it is also a guilty pleasure. So it's a triple threat. And that is from the film adaptation of the book of the radio drama, British, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, 2005. And I'm talking, of course, about the point of view gun that actually fires and changes your point of view. So there is no perspective. It's just a gun with the word point of view in the name, and I'm sticking to it. It's a funny scene with Zooey Deschanel and the wonderful Sam Rockwell as Yassine Bey, and I think it is just a funny little sequence of them, sharing each other's point of view and firing the gun, and it's a nice little emotional beat in the movie that is, I think, a good family film that I enjoyed. So suck it. Point of view gun.
It is a fun film, and it's a fun way to play the list. So I'll let it slide this time, Mister.
Well, I do have some. I have some bonus picks in my defense. I was going to pick Terminator Salvation. There's a bomb dropping, right? That was one. There's another bomb in Pearl Harbor, the air to sea torpedo falls. That was one. But I didn't. I for some reason I just was not feeling it with bombs from the air, kind of a thing.
No, see the only other backup I had, and I wanted to make sure it was something that was airborne, and Barry Sonnenfeld does a lot of fun stuff in Racing Arizona, but I thought, well, there's that great shot where the camera's flying through to discover, when mom discovers the baby's been kidnapped. I'm like, that's not anybody's point of view. But there is an airborne shot when he is in there stealing the babies as one of the babies leaps out of the crib to land on him. It is flying baby POV.
Good one.
But I was like, it's a bit of a reach for me. And I had that was a backup in case there were some steals. As far as Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that's a movie I struggle with because I'm such a fan of the original radio drama and the books. So it's one that I probably need to revisit and just know that it's an adaptation that's its own thing, and I kept wanting more of what I loved about the books, and this is its own thing.
So wears its own content on its sleeve. Like you could tell, it's just like there was no. They just literally adapted it. It didn't bring anything interesting. American Sniper does this too, but I haven't seen it. Apparently,
I looked at it. It's not very long. You're kind of behind. It's like Avengers, where you're behind the bullet as it flies, but it's very brief. It doesn't follow it more than just like when it exits the gun. So I didn't really think that one counted too much.
Yeah. Okay, good. There was one that I'd hoped for more, and it's a shot out of Blade Trinity. Did you guys stumble across this?
I didn't. I haven't seen that one.
It's actually really cool. There isn't a shot like a Leprechaun arrow shot, but there is some behind the scenes footage where Jessica Biel in Blade Trinity has to fire an arrow directly into the camera, and so they didn't really, from like 50 feet, right? I mean, it's a reasonable shot, that a challenging shot for the actor to make. And so they wanted to protect everything. So it's all cordoned off, all the cast, everybody's away. They just had like a 2-inch or a 4-inch little window that is blocked off and everything else is surrounded by like bulletproof, like plexiglass, whatever they use, right? And so she's firing into this completely bulletproof protected box. And nobody expected her to have any trouble with this shot at all, because you just have to get it get it pretty close. We can do it in one take. All you have to do is climb up on this thing and shoot the arrow toward the camera, and you're going to be fine. And she bullseyes the camera lens and destroys a $300,000 camera. And they have her, they have the people were shooting this with their phones, and you can watch Jessica Biel looking like she fires it, and she's looks at it, and then she leans in at the camera and then starts laughing hysterically because she just did this, it destroyed the camera completely. She embeds the arrow 6 inches into the camera, which I thought was brilliant.
That's amazing.
Poor Leprechaun just got thrown right off the camera. So,
check the gate.
I'll put the link to that in the show notes. That's it. So where we go this coming week?
Well, we're going to be looking at an interesting entry in Robin Hood cinematic history. It is the 1991 John Irvin Robin Hood. Yeah. What do we want to talk about for that one?
You type in Robin Hood in IMDb, and that one doesn't even come up in the list. Yeah, skips that. You get Robin Hood Prince of Thieves and then Robin Hood 1973. It just completely skips. It doesn't even exist.
I feel like we easily could do, similar films that came out, in a very short time period.
I think we should put that one on the list for sure.
What are we calling that?
Same year challengers or something like that,
or proximity
challengers.
Yeah.
Proximity challengers.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is, see, when I was working in the video store, I remember there was lots of debate raging on which was the better between the two. And a lot of people were like, no, forget that Kevin Costner one. This is the better Robin Hood movie. So that's, definitely, we've got a history of, I think, that happening a lot of studios rushing to get similar projects out. Okay.
It was another movie with troublesome accents.
Okay, we can put troublesome accents on the list.
I feel like that might be giving up, but that should be a contender.
I'm surprised that that's the first time that has come up.
I am actually surprised too, but there is a.
We have the old trope of doing a stupid thing for love.
Oh, the stupid thing for love trope.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to do that?
All right. I'll go with that.
All right.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, this is a tough one. It's a tough one to watch.
It is. All right, so that's it. We've got troublesome accents, proximity alert, similar films released near each other, and the stupid thing for love trope.
All right.
Does that sound good?
Let's do that. Yep.
Let's
do it.
That will be up in our Show Talk channel, everybody, over on Discord. So get your votes in, and we will see what we're going to talk about on next week's show.
Steve is posting the Twitter account to titular lines.
Oh, nice.
In the Show Talk.
Yes, I found it.
Matt, friendship cap. That was always the end game. This is really, I'm not going to be able to do anything else. Sorry, the show's late. I'll be reading Twitter and won't be able to produce it this week. Thank you, gentlemen. A fine Saturday matinee to you both. And Andy, get off to your soccer game. Steve, whatever you do.
Okay.
I got to go replace a sink. I'm going to do plumbing today.
Sounds like fun work.
It's going to be a great day. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. And we'll catch you this week. Lots of good things coming this week. So thanks for your support on Patreon. If you're not a supporter, consider it. That's all. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Hondo.